Pikachu there, which is moving faster than the Kangaskhan, but you've also got ways to deal with Xerneas. You've got the Bronzong, you've got the Gengar, and the Hitmontop actually allows you to intimidate repeatedly against the Groudon because of that eject button.
Yeah, and this Rayquaza Kyogre core is very strong. We've already seen it paired with Gengar before, most likely carrying a Mega Stone, just to try to trap Pokemon and kind of get that weather into your advantage, right? And then, this Raichu here is something that plays such a huge role because of the fact that it has Lightning Rod and can protect your Kyogre, right? It has access to Nuzzle, it has access to Endeavor, it has access to a lot of tools in its hand, and it can be surprisingly bulky, throwing an Assault Vest onto it and investing enough bulk.
Guys, we are just about to go into this match now, round 7 of the Video Game Championship at Worlds 2016. These guys need to win this game to progress to single elimination. So, for James Baek, we are going to see a Groudon coming onto the field right now, and alongside it, we are going to see the Xerneas, and from Baris Akcos, there's going to be a Kyogre and Gengar lead.
Yeah, and we do see Groudon Primal Revert first, so that might mean that it is the faster Pokemon. Unfortunately, right there for James is that, this Kyogre is going to get the weather that it wants to be in. Kyogre always wants to be in the rain because it's going to be a lot more effective. Groudon, on the other hand, if it is in the rain, it doesn't matter as much. It can easily still go for powerful Precipice Blades, right?
Yep. And so with the lead matchup currently and the way the weather is set up, Baris seems to have a bit of a better board position because of that Gengar being able to threaten a Sludge Bomb onto the Xerneas. And if it doesn't Mega Evolve, then it won't be able to be hit by Precipice Blades.
Yeah, and that's one option that this team really does have and really does enjoy. The Gengar Mega Evolving is a great tool to be able to trap this Groudon, right? Once this Groudon gets knocked out, Kyogre can easily just go for a powerful Water-type attack. Kyogre is actually a decently bulky Pokemon. If it's a Precipice Blades, it can still survive it, and also if it's a Special Groudon, which we do see pretty often, that's not going to be doing too much to Kyogre's special side anyways. Exactly,
and so Kyogre staring down against that Primal Kyogre, that Primal Groudon, loving being in the rain here. We see the Sludge Bomb coming out from Baris' Gengar. It's going to do a healthy amount to that Xerneas, leaving with just about a third left, and picking up Poison as well. So Xerneas is now on a timer. We see the Precipice Blades going off against the Kyogre. Gengar is not going to be affected because of the Levitate ability. It's going to hit Kyogre. How much will this do? It's going to leave it with about just over half there. So a Moonblast coming out as well. Will this be a double target? It will onto the Kyogre. Kyogre's going to be able to survive there, just under a third of HP left. And a double hit on Origin Pulse. This is huge. Groudon is going to go down here, and so will Xerneas. Big first turn for Baris.
Huge. I mean, you just picked up 2 knockouts on the restricted Pokemon on James' side. And, this is a game of resources, right? Both your restricted Pokemon are now knocked out. In the back, you still have your Mega option, which could be the Salamence or that Kangaskhan, which does exert a lot of pressure in terms of offensive power. But at the same time, your next Pokemon's also probably going to be some sort of support option.
Yep.
And, that is good, but at the same time, right now, you need offense, and you've lost 2 of your heavy hitters.
But I think one thing that we got to say here is this is round 7 of the World Championships. Both players are playing to make it through to single elimination, and you can see how aggressive they're being in this first game. Both of them leading off and attacking straight away. No switching, no defending. It's just all-out offense.
Right, and that is good information for James to note. This Kyogre is actually a very bulky Kyogre. That Precipice Blades did not even do 50%, so you got to think that Baris has invested a lot of defensive stats into this Kyogre, and that's good information for James to take onto game 2.
Yes.
We also had to notice that Gengar did not Mega Evolve just yet, maybe because Baris kind of wanted to just be able to keep that Rayquaza Mega in the back if he does have it, or also maybe he was just trying to outpredict the Precipice Blades into that Gengar slot.
And now we can see that if he's got Hitmontop in the back, he can just switch it in, get the Intimidate onto the Kangaskhan, Mega Evolve, and Sucker Punch won't be able to knock out Gengar.
Absolutely, and we do see Kyogre switch right now, and you're right, it does go into the Hitmontop.
So here comes Hitmontop, it's going to hit the field, it's going to drop an Intimidate onto that Kangaskhan, lowering down its attack by 1 stage. Cresselia doesn't mind that at all, but this is really the trap here. Now, we can see, we're going to see the Mega Evolution coming out from Gengar, and so it will trade that Levitate ability for Shadow Tag. It doesn't matter too much because James only has 2 Pokemon left, but it also gets a massive speed and special attack increase. We're going to see the Mega Evolution from Mega Kangaskhan, something we've seen a lot today. The baby is going to pop out of the pouch, and we're going to get the Parental Bond ability as well. So we see the Protect coming out from Gengar here. He doesn't want to take any unnecessary damage from the Cresselia should it go for a Psychic or something. But we also see the Power-Up Punch going onto that Hitmontop slot. So the Kangaskhan is going to boost up. It's going to have, +1 level of attack now because of after that Intimidate. And then from Cresselia, what are we going to see? The Eject button is coming out for Baris, so he can actually lower that stage down again to neutral.
That's actually a very cool tech because you can also play around with your weather a little bit right there. You can kind of switch out your Kyogre and then switch in the Hitmontop, get the Intimidate, and then switch back in to get your Rain in certain situations in which the ground comes out prevalent. So that's a very cool tech, I believe.
It would be really cool right now if you managed to bring in Raichu. If you brought in Raichu, then he's got Fake Out pressure as well.
I think you'd just be so hype about that Raichu coming in because that's a Pokemon that we don't see often. But Raichu is a great Pokemon in this format, like I've already said. It is frail, but at the same time, it's fast. It has access to a lot of cool support moves. And of course, with the Assault Vest that we've seen on Wolfie's side, which I wouldn't be surprised at all to see on Baris' team as well, you know, it's a pretty similar composition.
Yep.
And it actually survives a lot of attacks.
Yeah, I mean, we saw in Wolf's match that that Raichu could take a lot of damage, both on the defensive and on the special defensive side. So not the usual build that you see, but it's actually going to be Bronzong hitting the field now. And we're going to see the Icy Wind coming out. It's going to hit onto... oh, no, it's not. No damage there at all. Bronzong doesn't take anything because of the Avoid there, but Bronzong's usually quite slow anyway. Icy Wind doesn't do that much damage.
Not going to matter too much anyways. It would kind of power up Gyro Ball possibly, but
yeah,
you know, it's not going to do that much damage at all anyways, and Bronzong's already a very slow Pokemon. Great Protect right there, and now, you know, with his Bronzong and Gengar out on the side, at least James has actually got to see most of Baris' team, right?
Yep.
He actually has seen the entire team, and that's huge to kind of try to figure out what Baris' strategy is, and James is going to probably have to take that in the game too. You know, I'm not necessarily saying that it's over just yet, but like I said, you know, it's a huge momentum sink when you lose your 2 restricted Pokemon like that off turn 1.
Yeah, exactly. And Baris still has that Kyogre in the back, which will be able to get off some big damage here. So if Bronzong manages to set up a Trick Room, we could see Kyogre coming back in, but he has to try and... Oh, there we go. So I was saying he has to try and worry about that Sucker Punch as well. But with Will-O-Wisp activating right there, the attack stat will be cut down by quite significantly. But Power-Up Punch again from Kangaskhan, so he's going to try and boost his attack up. So we probably be about neutral now, right?
I believe he's at 3 stages of increased attack with that burn.
And Intimidate.
He has 1, but he's going to lose the Parental Bond. And, you know, more information is being revealed to James for him to kind of put into the back of his mind going into Game 2. Not sure if Baris is really should be doing that because, you know, Pokemon is kind of a game of information. You're kind of revealing a lot of your techs. Of course, you know, this team was featured on stream earlier, so maybe Baris already knows, or maybe James already even knows what Baris has up his sleeve anyways.
Yeah, but still, a lot of great information for James there, and he'll be thinking to Game 2 right now, and I think Baris just really wants to try and knock out these last 2 Pokemon as quickly as possible to not reveal anything else.
Yeah, and you know, Baris, I believe, is actually currently taking his time just in case something does happen. A very cautious play right there to kind of, you know, play to all your options to win, right? You know, that's one thing that a great player needs to be able to recognize, you know, hey, something can go wrong. I'm going to make sure that I have at least 2 win conditions just in case.
Well, multiple Worlds competitor, multiple top 4s at European National Championships as well, and also the finalist in one of the National Championships this year. So a really strong competitor from Germany here. And James is obviously just wanting to figure out what he can do for the next battle against a team that most people really haven't seen too much before this.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we do see the skill swap from that Bronzong, you know, kind of trying to get some information from that Bronzong. You know, now James knows that he does have to be careful of that. You know, if it's out on the field, Bronzong can easily just go ahead and skill swap that, levitate onto the Kyogre and take back the reign. So maybe that's information that Baris kind of reveals in the sense that, hey, you know, you got to respect this.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that this team really has. It's got too many tricks, and you've got to respect all the different elements of it. And it's not one of those teams that you can really go through the motions with and fight against. It's one of those teams where you got to kind of figure out, okay, so what's his strategy now?
Yes, and the key to the strategy for James right now is probably to just be a bit more conservative with his restricted Pokemon. You know, you can't let them get knocked out turn 1 just like that. Obviously, he was already in a pretty bad position just with those leads. Maybe the Gengar kind of scared him away from trying to switch out, or even just, you know, leading up with all his heavy hitters just because, hey, I don't want to get my weak Pokemon trapped.
Yep.
I need to keep my Pokemon on the offense and go hyper offensive mode.
We can hear the crowd going wild now, so let's go through the teams once more for you. So Baris Akcos' team will be Rayquaza, Kyogre, Hitmontop, Raichu, Bronzong, and Gengar. And for James Beck of the United States, it will be Kangaskhan, Smeargle, Xerneas, Salamence, Cresselia, and Groudon. So guys, we are just about to kick it into Game 2 of this Round 7 World Championship match here in San Francisco.
One win
big
for Baris,
moment.
and he moves on to the top cut.
That's
here
incredible. And
in San
James
Francisco.
is obviously really hoping that he can take back this win, take it to game 3, and then hopefully move into single elimination himself. So guys, we're going to see the same lead from Baris here. He's going to go with Kyogre and Gengar, and James is going to mix things up. He's going to go for that Salamence and the Cresselia.
A bit better of a lead right now for James, I believe. Obviously not as heavy hitting as previously, but he does have Groudon in the back to kind of play mind games with the weather. He does have to be careful about Salamence getting possibly burned, because we did see the Will-O-Wisp from that Gengar. That will affect its damage output in terms of the double edge that it most likely carries, but of course it can still hit with Hyper Voice. But the important thing is, burning that Salamence will prevent Salamence from being able to double edge into that Kyogre slot.
Yep, and that's the thing that Baris really has to watch out for. With Kyogre, obviously you want to be able to get big water spouts off later on in the game, and because it's so bulky, having more HP really means that it's got a lot more longevity.
Absolutely, and Cresselia is a support Pokemon that I enjoy seeing out on the field. Looking at its hit point stat, it's actually going to be more of an offensive Cresselia, I believe. 196 hit points isn't that bulky of a build, so maybe this one's actually trying to start hitting a little bit harder possibly, or maybe he just opted for a fast Cresselia.
So we're actually going to see a Mega Evolution from Gengar here. We're not going to see any switch outs at all once again. So Gengar now going to be able to trap in Salamence and Cresselia. We're going to see the Mega Evolution coming out from Salamence now. Going to trade that Intimidate ability for Aerialate, which will boost, turn all normal type attacks into flying type attacks and give them a little boost as well. We're going to see the Protect here so Salamence can build up its speed. We're going to see a Taunt coming out from Gengar onto the Cresselia. Not bothered about burning that Salamence right yet. And so its skill swap can't be used now. We're going to see an Ice Beam into the Salamence slot. So really nice Taunt from Gengar.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate right there. Probably going to try to take the Shadow Tag from that Gengar, I believe, just so that he can actually have the ability to switch his Pokemon whenever he wants.
And if he traps in the Kyogre, he can bring in the Groudon and just make it completely useless.
And I'd just like to say that was a great call to Mega Evolve that Gengar right there. Salamence wanted to pick up that speed boost because of the Protect and into the Mega Evolution, and Baris just saw right through that. Hey, I need to match the speed boost right now so that next turn I can still go for Will-O-Wisp if possible. And he did that with getting a taunt off into Cresselia, so essentially a free turn right there from Baris.
And it worked out really well for him. He's in quite a good position now. Cresselia cannot retreat, cannot use any of its support moves. But as you said, Dewey, it looks like it could be one of the more offensive builds that we've seen before, like Chase Libberts. So it might be able to do some damage here. But we're going to see a Will-O-Wisp instead from Gengar going onto the Salamence. If it chooses to use Double Edge onto that Kyogre slot, it will not do as much damage as it could have done. So yeah, that's only about a third there, so really great Will-O-Wisp from Baris' end. We're going to see the Icy Wind coming out from the Cresselia. It's not going to be able to do too much damage to either of these Pokemon, but the speed drop is very important.
I would prefer to see that Icy Wind turn earlier. Obviously, hindsight is 2020, but that would have paid off a lot better last time. And Salamence does avoid the Origin Pulse here.
Yes, so the Salamence has avoided here, but how much will this do to the Cresselia in the rain? It's going to do a lot of damage there, crocking the Citrus Berry. So the Citrus Berry will take it up just over half HP, or a little bit more than that, but again, we actually have a lot of damage coming out from Baris' side of the field, but also a lot of control as well.
Yeah, and right now, James does have to be careful because Hitmontop can easily switch in. If it switches in, it's going to intimidate Salamence even more. I think James right now is just going to have to be content with just going for the Hyper Voice and hitting Kyogre for its more bulky special side, because that Double Edge barely did anything at all. And at the same time, even if you hit that Kyogre, you can still at least chip away at the Gengar or whatever possibly comes in.
Yep. And also with that that speed drops on Kyogre and Gengar, Salamence will now be faster than Gengar. It will now be able to hit both of these Pokemon with a Hyper Voice should it want to go for that. And then we've got, depending on how Cresselia is trained, it might be able to outspeed some of them.
Yeah, but Cresselia is a Pokemon known to have just really one attack. Obviously, we've seen more Cresselias, but yeah, it's been taunted, so it's not going to be able to do anything with that speed drop at all, as we do see Gengar Protect.
So Gengar is going to drop a Protect here, doesn't want to take any damage at all, or drop its speed. You can see the Hyper Voice coming out from Salamence there. It's going to go onto the Kyogre, and it's going to just take it down just below half HP. The Icy Wind is going to connect as well, so another speed drop onto that Kyogre, not doing too much damage at all. We can see another big Origin Pulse coming out here. So speed dropping from Primal Kyogre, Origin Pulse onto both Pokemon, no misses there at all. This will probably do enough to knock out the Cresselia here. Oh no, 10 HP, there we go.
That is a big survival right there, because now this Cresselia can continue to go for more Icy Wind, so that kind of prevents switches from being able to happen. That's what I like about Icy Wind.
Yep.
Even if you switch, you get hit with an Icy Wind, that kind of disrupts your entire team. And the taunt did wear off, so now Cresselia can probably go for some more options. Not sure if it's going to be faster than this Gengar, though. That's going to be pretty big to figure out. Like, is that Ice Wind going to be enough? Obviously, we see that this Cresselia is less bulky, so maybe he pumps some stats and his speed.
Yeah, maybe. And also, Gengar obviously wants to be able to survive certain attacks from other Pokemon, so maybe Baris hasn't invested fully into speed either, so it's going to be really interesting to see which Pokemon will outspeed each other next.
Yeah, and Salamence is burned. The timer is on it, but do you want to save it for maybe a Hitmontop that comes in, or Gengar switches out? What's going to come in? Okay, the Bronzong.
Okay, so we can see the Bronzong there. Won't take any damage from either of the attacks coming out from Salamence or Cresselia, so a really nice switch there from Baris. We're going to see the Hyper Voice coming out, and Kyogre's really enjoying this. He's not going to go down to that at all. We're going to see a Gravity coming out from Cresselia, so understanding that it might not be around for the rest of the turn and just setting up for whatever's in the back.
Yeah, and that's 5 turns of Gravity coming up, and that's going to be huge. Origin Pulse, of course, is going to connect anyways because of that Gravity. So, this depends. It depends on what James has in the bag.
Exactly.
If it can come in and possibly do some work right here, if it's that Xerneas and the Groudon, there's still a chance.
Yep, so if we see Xerneas and Groudon coming in from James, we got the opportunity to have Precipice Blades that will not miss. But obviously with Baris having several Pokemon still around in his party, he can switch Kyogre back and be able to set up Rain later on in the game to stop Fire-type attacks, but he still has to worry about the Precipice Blades.
Absolutely, and we do see Smeargle instead of Xerneas right now, so it's going to be Groudon Smeargle, of course. James's tournament life is going to come down to a lead that a lot of players actually rely on, not even a lead, but a pair that a lot of players rely on, so this is it right here. James down to his last 2 Pokemon with tournament life on the line. Baris so close, just 2 more knockouts, or just 8 minutes, 8.5 minutes, and he could be in the top cut.
Well, I mean, Smeargle has seemed to be the perfect partner for a lot of Pokemon and trainers this weekend. So will Smeargle be able to pull out some of its shenanigans and see James through to a 3rd match?
Yeah, and it looks like right here, the Kyogre is slower. Remember, we saw the Groudon Primal Revert first in the previous game, so James might be able to go for powerful Precipice Blades right off the bat here. We'll have to see exactly how this plays out, and Bronzong did take a little bit of chip damage. Not exactly sure how bulky Baris' Bronzong is. Will it be able to survive with Precipice Blades? Yeah, and we do need to see what Baris actually has in the back as well. We know he's got Mega Gengar, but did he bring that Rayquaza as well? If he brought Rayquaza, then up against this Groudon, he might be able to get some big damage off, and it depends on what Smeargle has. Smeargle might have Tailwind. Smeargle might be able to adjust speed. It might be able to redirect using Follow Me, so obviously there's just so many different options, but we're actually going to see the Hitmontop. We do see the switch into the Hitmontop. That's going to be a huge Intimidate right here to kind of weaken this Groudon's damage output, so good call right there from Baris, but we'll have to see it pays off. Of course, eject button is going to be a pretty cool thing, as we do see a Fire Punch instead.
Onto the Bronzong slot, so not going to be able to activate the eject button here, so I think Baris was hoping to be able to pick up a Precipice Blades and then eject Hitmontop back out so he can bring in another time for Intimidate.
And a Dark Void to put this Hitmontop to sleep. Huge sleep right there. Yep. We've already seen the eject button, not going to be able to wake up here. It hasn't even taken a turn of sleep, as we do see Moody go the special defense. And the accuracy drop. Okay, all right.
That is unfortunate for James there. He really needs to get some good Moody boost to be able to make his way into a Game 3 here. And accuracy dropping is not going to be able to help him because Dark Void won't be able to hit.
Yeah, and we do see Gengar come in, and of course, a lot of Gengars do have limited space in their move selection. A lot of players have to choose between Sludge Bomb and Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball, of course, can hit the Groudon, but Sludge Bomb hits the more so prevalent Xerneas, so maybe this Gengar doesn't have a neutral hit on this Groudon, so we'll have to see how this goes.
So we've seen Will-O-Wisp, we've seen Protect, and we've seen Sludge Bomb. So
and Taunt, we've seen its entire moveset actually, so yeah, it doesn't have Shadow Ball.
Oh, of course it was Taunt, yeah, of course. So yeah, we know that it will not be able to hit Groudon for a neutral damage here.
It can go for a Taunt onto the Smeargle though, which could be pretty big. Of course, Smeargle not known to carry many attacking moves. We've seen Feint. I've seen Feint on Smeargle pick up 2 KOs in one tournament before, over in Italy, I believe.
Yep, it was amazing.
So we never know exactly what this Smeargle's moveset is. We have seen the Dark Void, of course, that is always carried though.
Yeah, and we've also seen some Endeavor Smeargle as well, which has been pretty interesting. So we're going to see a Protect coming out from the Gengar, Crafty Shield as well, so expecting a Taunt there from the Mega Gengar. Precipice Blades is going to be able to hit that Hitmontop because of the gravity, and Hitmontop is going to take that quite well, and it's going to activate the eject button, which is actually quite good for Baris.
Yeah, but at the same time,
drags out Kyogre.
It drags out Kyogre. Yep. That's not going to matter too much because this Groudon's going to outspeed anyways. Gengar won't be able to pick the one-hit KO on Groudon, and we still have a couple turns of gravity left, right?
Yep, we do. I think it's about 3 turns of gravity left.
I believe so. I believe 2 turns of gravity are still to be there. Of course, you can switch out the Gengar and switch back in the Hitmontop for another Intimidate, but at some point, this Kyogre has taken damage, I believe.
Yeah, it has. It's taken a fair amount of damage. It's got about a third of its HP left. So once it goes onto the field, there is going to be an opportunity to get a big Precipice Blades off. But it looks like Baris is understanding that he might need to take this one to time.
Yeah, and that's, again, you have to realize that, right? Pokemon is a game of time. It's one of the win conditions that is laid out in the rules. So you have to play all your outs, and Baris does not want to lose at all. And that's a lot less health than I remember Kyogre having. So, yeah, I mean, even if you get off another Intimidate, it's just going to be knocked out. As we do see a speed rise right there.
And you can see James's face. He's happy with that. So, guys, this is going to be an exciting end to round 7. There's still a lot to happen. And don't count James Baek out just yet.
Yeah, and we do have to remember, though, it did take an accuracy drop, so the Dark Void may not hit. Again, Groudon can still continue to go for Precipice Blades. Gengar is at threat. It already protected. Kyogre can protect here, but, Gengar can switch out for the Hitmontop and get another Intimidate off, but Kyogre is not going to be able to... The odds of it surviving aren't going to be that great. Like, I think it's going to come down to a 2-2 time game.
It looks like it might do, and Baris is content just to wait it out. And I think that's probably for the best. Gengar will want to switch out here to get another Intimidate onto that Groudon. Kyogre protecting, so he still have 3 Pokemon there. If he's got more Pokemon than James at the end of time, then he should win.
Oh, he switches out to Kyogre instead, though.
Yeah, that's an interesting play. So the Heavy Rain is going to leave the field now. We're going to see the Hitmontop coming in, so he's going to Intimidate the Groudon once again.
And we're going to have to see if this Precipice Blades can connect on this Gengar if it can't get another Protect.
Well, gravity's still up, it should be able to. So
oh, yeah.
There's a spiky shield from Smeargle. It doesn't want to take any taunts or anything from that Gengar. And there we go. Oh, so yeah, so the taunt does go onto that Smeargle. And we're going to see the Precipice Blades now.
Is it going to be able to pick up the KO? This is going to be huge right here.
So Gengar...
Oh, Gengar hangs on with just a sliver of hit points.
Sliver of health right there. Really, really clutch survival there for Baris.
As we do see some Moody boosts happen. Hitmontop is also kind of threatened to be knocked out right now, so time is actually kind of going against Baris' side, but James is slowly clawing his way back here.
It looks like it. It looks like James might be able to do this.
3 heavily damaged Pokemon. All James needs to do is just pick up one more KO on that Gengar, on that Hitmontop, on that Kyogre. Hitmontop's asleep, which helps it out a lot because it cannot protect right here. Not even sure if this Hitmontop does have protect at all, so has it even taken a turn of sleep?
It's taken... No, it hasn't.
It hasn't taken a turn to sleep, so it's not going to be able to wake up at all.
There doesn't seem to be that much offensive pressure coming out from
There's
Baris here.
One more turn of gravity, so this Precipice Blade is going to be very accurate. So
you can imagine Gengar will protect it, but Hitmontop will go down, and then Baris will not be able to win on timer.
Yeah, and Smeargle does go for Cracker Shielder, but I think James might have this one.
Yeah, no protects coming out from Baris here, so Baris' Hitmontop is going to take a turn of sleep. It was using a priority attack right there. There's going to be a Sludge Bomb coming out from Gengar onto the Smeargle. It looks like Baris is trying to take out that Smeargle in one turn. We're going to see the Precipice Blade, which is going to take out both of these Pokemon now, and Baris has actually lost this game, it looks like.
Well, there's still a chance that Precipice Blades can miss. Gravity's going to end right here. Of course, Smeargle can...
Yeah, because obviously the sun will not be set up, so we won't be able to use Fire Punch.
Yeah, so it's going to come down to whether or not the Smeargle has anything to really make sure that this Groudon can pick up this KO. I totally see what Baris tried to do right there. He tried to pick up this KO on Smeargle. The best bet was probably to go for the Sludge Bomb, maybe bring it down to the Focus Sash, and then maybe activate the Poison, and then pick up the KO that way, and then slowly stall out the number of Pokemon that are remaining.
But yeah, it's come down to a 2-on-1, so we're going to have Groudon and Smeargle against Kyogre on Baris' side of the field. So James must be thinking, oh, I've got a sniff at this.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have to make sure that this connects right here, right? Another option that James does have, it can Spiky Shield this turn, and then he can stall out time. Because it's going to come, it's going to be close, but Kyogre and Smeargle are almost about the same health. It looks like Smeargle might have a little bit more health, but it's going to come down to, total hit point percentage. So, yeah, another win option for James, but it's going to be cutting it close. It's kind of like gambling right there. And
yeah, it feels like it, and it's very, very tense, isn't it?
This game came down to the wire, and if Baris
manages to win, he's through to the single elimination part of this tournament.
And there it is. The Smeargle goes for the Spiky Shield to try to stall out the time, just in case. And
Groudon's also going to be using Protect here.
So, all right, yeah.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense there. So James has identified his win condition here.
So Baris right there kind of, I don't know, put his back against the wall by trying to play to the time. James, of course, identified that as his win condition, and this game is over, and we're going to go to a game 3 right here. Well done, well adjusted from James, and you know, a very solid set from James right now.
Yeah, it's super tense. This is a game that we thought early on that Baris might be able to win. He looked like he was in a better position, and now James has managed to take this back. Both players thinking with the time in mind, and we've seen a lot of games in this format where time isn't really a factor because they're so aggressive. Both these, using both restricted legendary Pokemon usually deals a lot of damage, but this comes down so close to time, man.
Right, and smart play right now from James to just continue to let that command time go down. We have seen instances before where the battle time and command time kind of are too similar. You kind of press a button a bit too early and then a turn goes through, so smart play from James to just wait it out completely.
Yep, so we're going to see James Baek take this back. He is going to be winning the second game in this round 7 Swiss match at the World Championships here in San Francisco.
I don't know about you, Jay, but my heart cannot take this much longer. I mean, we had to cast battles yesterday, too, for these elimination matches, and oh, man, each of these are coming down to the wire. You know, Game 3, you hate to see somebody kind of get eliminated from the tournament in this fashion, right? You hate to see somebody lose it at a Game 3. You know, you're just so close to making it to the top cut here at the 2016 World Championships.
Well, if you lose it in Game 3 in round 7, when you've only got one more win to go, it adds the pressure on. It's so incredibly exciting.
All the prizes that are on the line, you know, you can play for it if you win this one game.
It's a real tough one, and you can see both players now heads in their hands as they really try and figure out what they need to do to win this battle. So we have James Baek's team, which is going to be Kangaskhan, Smeargle, Xerneas, Salamence, Cresselia, and Groudon, and Baris' team, which is on your screen, Rayquaza, Kyogre, Hitmontop, Raichu, Bronzong, and Gengar.
We've seen a lot of cool techs this round. You know, we've seen the Hitmontop go for 3 Intimidates, which is really cool. It's really helpful for that Groudon. I'm going to be interested to see if Baris decides to go for that Rayquaza option. Obviously, you know, he knows his team a lot better than I do. I'm relatively new to this team. Maybe Rayquaza isn't that great of an option for him. One cool thing about the Rayquaza Kyogre core, of course, is that even if you don't have your weather up the way you want it to be, maybe your Kyogre's in the sun, you can easily just switch your Rayquaza in to be able to pick up the KO.
Lots of flexibility.
Right, and you know, James relied on Groudon that game, right? Not so much the Xerneas, so maybe Rayquaza could be a good option, as we do see Gengar and Hitmontop instead changing it up a little bit.
Guys, this is Game 3, Round 7. The winner of this game will pass through to single elimination. The loser, unfortunately, will have to end their championship run here. So give it up for James Baek and Baris Akcos. We have Cresselia Salamence from James and Gengar Hitmontop from Baris. So a mix-up, something different.
A big mix-up right here. Again, Cresselia does have to be careful about the taunt from Gengar. We've seen that before. Of course, I'm pretty sure the Mega Gengar is going to come out here just to be able to match speeds with that Salamence that's most likely going to Mega Evolve here as well. James does have to be careful, though, because there are a lot of cool tricks that Hitmontop has. It has access to Feint, it has access to Fake Out, it has access to Wide Guard. So all these things could actually mess around with, you know, James's head. Is he going to go for the Wide Guard? Should I go for the Double Edge here? Is he going to go for a Feint? Can I not protect my Salamence? Am I just going to get burned right off the bat?
Exactly.
So,
if he thinks that he wants to go straight for a Hyper Voice, if Baris Wide Guards and Will-O-Wisp, then again Salamence gets neutered down to minus attack stats.
and we do see the switch to Groudon. I like this switch a lot.
Yep, so Groudon's going to hit the field now. If a Taunt is going to be heading into that Cresselia slot once again, it won't really matter too much. Groudon won't be able to protect, but he'll be able to get off a big Precipice Blades.
Even then, Hitmontop is out on the field right now. If it doesn't get hit, it won't be able to switch out, and that means that Groudon can go for very powerful attacks onto this Gengar. As we do see Gengar Mega Evolve, and now Groudon is going to be stuck in, so...
Yep, so again, Mega Gengar hitting the field. We're going to see that Shadow Tag ability activate. Because there are no Ghost types on James's side of the field, all his Pokemon will be trapped in by that Shadow Tag.
A lot of Megas coming out on the field, a lot of Primals out on the field too. You know, Salamence is Mega now, it's ready to go.
We see a Fake Out coming out from Hitmontop here onto that Groudon slot, trying to stop the Cresselia from setting up anything. A critical hit there, so a nice little bit of chip damage. We're going to see the Will-O-Wisp directly onto the Salamence here. Has James understood that there would be a Tailwind? Tailwind is a really, really good move here.
You do have to respect the Wide Guard though. You know, hopefully James realizes that Hitmontop does get access to Wide Guard. Salamence is intimidated, it is burned, its offense, its physical output won't be that much at all, so I'm pretty sure it might even be a 2, maybe 3 hit KO from a Double Edge onto this Hitmontop. You know, it's really tempting right now to just go for a Hyper Voice and a Precipice Blades. You know, that's going to do a lot of damage, that's going to pick up 2 KOs, I believe, but
One
you
wide
have
guard.
to respect that wide guard.
Yep, one wide guard and it all goes down the toilet. So we've got Groudon and Mega Salamence, who both have single target attacks. We could see a Fire Punch being launched out here, but if Kyogre comes in, then
Exactly.
there's no damage being
You know,
done.
that's one great thing about Shadow Tag. You're stuck in there. Baris has control of the field. You know, he has control of the board position. He can kind of set up in any way he wants. You know, it's kind of like chess. You're setting up the way you want it.
Yeah, you want to make sure that your opponent's options are limited, and that's something that Mega Gengar really works out with, especially this version. We've got the Taunt, and we've also got that Will-O-Wisp to be able to stop physical attacks from happening. So preparing for Mega Gengar to basically come back in after the eject button activates. We see Primal Kyogre hitting the field, the Sun will now go away. The Primordial C ability will activate, and Fire Punch will not be able to do any damage at all.
Wide guard is coming. That is a very safe switch from Baris. If he goes for this wide guard, which I'm heavily predicting him to do so, you know, Groudon doesn't really have many options right now to go for an attack here. Oh, goes for a withdraw and hit him on top instead. Did James see through that? As we
Double
do see
switch from Baris here.
Bronzong's a pretty safe switch too for both. I mean, it's a safe switch in that slot. Salamence goes for the Hyper Voice.
So you see the Hyper Voice coming out here, so special bulky Kyogre doesn't really mind that too much. Bronzong doesn't take too much damage at all. Fire Punch does no damage here because of the switch in, so it looks like Baris is trying to set up a Trick Room.
Yeah, that's a possibility. You know, Salamence out on the field, it can reset its stats if it really wants to. Not really much that can happen in terms of offensive output on James' side because of the rain protecting the Bronzong, of course, because of the Levitate protecting the Bronzong, and it can go for Precipice Blades to connect onto that Kyogre, but that could be sacrificing your Groudon, and I don't think you should sacrifice your Groudon right now.
No, so it looks like Kyogre could be going for a Protect here. If we see a Trick Room coming out from Baris' side of the field, that would help against the Tailwind from James' side of the field. We see how speedy his Groudon is anyway when it Primal reverts before Baris' Primal Kyogre. The Smeargle's going to come in instead. We're going to see a Hyper Voice once again. So Kyogre surviving just over half HP. We're going to see the Origin Pulse is going to hit both slots. Baris is really happy about this move. How much will it do to Smeargle? Smeargle's going to go down, activating the... going to go down to 1 HP, activating the Focus Sash. And we're going to do a little bit of damage to Salamence as well. And we're going to see that Trick Room.
Yeah, and now Baris is pretty set up. I really like these slow modes coming out of the back of the teams. You know, a lot of players don't prepare for it. We do see Moody activate with an attack rise and, of course, a special defense drop, so not going to matter too much anyways.
Yep, so that's good for Baris. If he saw a speed drop there, things could be a little bit different. But he's got two Pokemon. He's got all his Pokemon relatively healthy. He's managed to put a lot of pressure onto James's side of the field. If Groudon comes in here, then he won't be able to use his Water-type attacks, but Salamence heavily weakened, Smeargle heavily weakened. Lots of potential for knockouts.
Yeah, and you know, once that Trick Room comes up, like Smeargle is, you can make it as slow as you want, but Bronzong's going to be making it even slower as we do see the Spiky Shield come out. So
we see Spiky Shield from Smeargle, but we're going to see a Protect from Salamence as well. We're going to see the Safeguard coming out from Bronzong here to protect against any Dark Void shenanigans later on in the match. Ice Beam from Kyogre going to hit onto that Salamence, and Salamence is going to go down here, so James will be able to get a free switch back into Groudon if he wants it.
Yeah, but even if you send in that Groudon, of course, you had to respect that skill swap that we saw in Game 1. You know, that's very threatening from Baris to kind of reveal that in Game 1, and it might pay off because now James has to be very, very careful as to what he decides to do.
So we see the Smeargle is only at 1 HP. James is really having to think about what he wants to send in here. We're going to see the Cresselia, so doesn't want to send in that Groudon and face down another skill swap to set up Primordial C.
Yeah, and you know, Cresselia, I like Cresselia a lot, but just in this situation, what are you really going to try to do?
Not much offensive pressure.
Not much offensive pressure. You know, Icy Wind's just going to slow Pokemon down. You could probably set up a Gravity, which would be helpful. But again, you have to respect the skill swap on the other side. You have to be able to somehow set up Gravity and also reverse the Trick Room and get that speed back in your favor. So that's 2 turns of setup right now. You know, we've seen it before. Cresselia will survive the Precipice Blades, or it's not the Precipice Blades, but the Origin Pulse.
Yep.
So yeah.
It's
going to take a lot for James to be able to come back, pretty much. He needs Smeargle to get knocked out at the right time once Cresselia has begun setting up what it needs to set up for it to be able to set up for a Groudon sweep.
And he needs to be able to get rid of that Bronzong before he can set up another Trick Room. We're going to see an Ice Beam coming out onto Smeargle, so Smeargle's going to go down right now. Obviously, without being able to use Dark Void because of the Safeguard.
Double Trick Room.
There we go.
Double Trick Room.
Yep. So the Bronzong activating Trick Room, reversing the order. Cresselia's going to do it as well. Baris is really happy with that play. What excellent reading. Very intelligent play there from the German.
A very beautiful play right there from Baris. A very good read. You know, you have to respect the ability to make that call, because if you don't get that call right, you actually end up setting Trick Room up for your opponent. And now you have to respect the skill swaps right here. You know, Cresselia also does have access to skill swap as well, so
could
Oh
be,
boy,
so
if
many
we see a double skill
swaps.
swap, that's what James has to possibly come back.
But Baris is very happy with that play. We heard a lot of chanting from out on the floor, so a lot of supporters there for Baris Akcos of Germany. We got to see what this turn will bring. There are skill swap options. There are different super effective attacks that could be dropped here from Kyogre. It's going to be a really, really big turn.
Yeah, and like I said, Cresselia does have access to skill swap. It's going to come down to whether or not the skill swaps turn out perfectly. Not exactly sure how these are trained in terms of speed. You know, obviously the Kyogre on Baris' side is going to be a bit slower. Cresselia not very known to be a speed Pokemon, although it is not that bad as we do see Kyogre protect. What's going to happen here?
It looks like he's trying to bait out a skill swap onto that Groudon, but Groudon's going to protect here as well, so both Kyogre and Groudon not wanting to take any damage this turn. Again, Trick Room. So Trick Room from Bronzong, and is Cresselia going to drop a Trick Room as well? We're going to see a double Trick Room,
There's another Trick Room. So 2 turns of double Trick Room right there.
How much
Huge
Trick
plays.
Room do you want, man?
I've never seen people use this much Trick Room power points at all in a match.
But it looks like Baris is inside James's head. He knows what he's trying to do. He's one step ahead of him each time, and the double protect fails on Groudon's end. We are going to see the skill swap onto that Kyogre. We're going to see a knockout this turn if the Origin Pulse hits.
Yeah, I think James' best option right there is to probably go for a skill swap onto that Groudon, as we do see Kyogre go for a water spout before.
Great decision by Baris of Akcos, and there goes Groudon. What a game.
Oh man, that was just beautiful.
And here goes Cresselia. Is going to take the Trick Room now, and so reverse order will be in effect, but without too much offensive pressure, James is done.
Absolutely beautiful play from Baris. To be able to go for a hard read and go for a double Trick Room
Twice
in 2 turns in a row. You know, James